Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest edition of the Right Wing Populist Podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So it's official, folks. The Elon Trump breakup, it's happening. The libs were right. You got to give this to the libs. The libs had been saying for months now that inevitably Trump and Elon were going to have a breakup, and they were right. The breakup's happening. Kind of makes me sad because both Trump and Elon are freaking awesome dudes. It was so sick seeing them come together to defeat the commies and the deep state in this past election. So to see Trump and Elon essentially attacking each other indirectly, and now, as I'll play in a couple of minutes, directly, it's sad to see. You could tell they were such good friends. Elon, the weird autistic son, and Trump, the understanding dad. It was a nice little relationship, but now it's not looking so good. And you know why Elon decided to become critical of Trump. It's becoming more clear. There were essentially a bunch of tax credits for EV vehicles or whatever that this new spending bill gets rid of. That's what Axios reported, and that seems to be the big reason why Elon is turned on Trump. Probably that, and the fact that not all the Doge cuts are being codified by Congress, and that Elon probably doesn't like that. And as I suggested yesterday, I think Elon probably is looking for a way to get back into the good graces of the liberal establishment. And no better way to do that than by attacking Trump. So I think Elon's just looking for a pretext, but I think he's also probably mad about, the new EV mandates that they're getting rid of the tax credits or whatever. So, and Trump was asked about Elon, I think for the first time directly, about Elon criticizing the new spending bill, and I'm going to play you what Trump had to say right now.
Well, look, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, the words, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill because the bill is incredible. It's the biggest cut in the history of our country. We've never cut. It's about 1.6 trillion in cuts. It's the biggest tax cut. Tax, you would say, people's taxes will go way down, but it's the biggest tax cut in history. We are doing things in that bill that are unbelievable. And when you look at what we're doing for small businesses, for people, for middle income people, all of the things that we're doing, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate and, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning, Mr. Secretary, that hasn't changed at all, right from the beginning. But I know that it disturbed him. He wanted, and rightfully, he recommended somebody that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA, and I didn't think it was appropriate. And he happened to be a Democrat, like totally Democrat. And I say, look, we won. We get certain privileges, and one of the privileges we have to appoint a Democrat. NASA is very important. We have great people. General Kane is going to be picking somebody we'll be checking him out, seeing, but he wanted that person, a certain person, and we said no. And, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." But he said, "No, I don't think so," which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is. So you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer, said the best thing. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We'll go to great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development move anywhere We've never done anything like it. Business is spurred. And I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the numbers came out. Even the CBO, which is run by Democrats, said that we're going to be doing, I'd like you to discuss
Trump also went on to maybe somewhat imply that Elon has Trump derangement syndrome. We'll play that clip as well.
happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different. Come hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll.
So, yeah, my main takeaway from all this is that I'm just kind of sad. I liked seeing Trump and Elon be together. Like I said, they're two awesome people. So to see them sort of separate now, it's sort of like a kid seeing his parents get a divorce. It's like, oh man, that sucks. And, although, again, you could have sort of see it coming. They both have big egos. Trump, I honestly look at this as sort of a positive for Trump. The fact that he's willing to go against the wishes of someone who gave him a lot of money. That actually, I think, shows it. This may seem a little counterintuitive. I think that actually proves Trump has good character. The fact that he's not doing the bidding of one of his biggest donors from this past election, that shows Trump just can't be, bought and paid for by his biggest donor, Elon Musk, his most public biggest donor. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So, if we want to be serious for a second, so while it sucks seeing these two cool people parting ways, it's good to know that Trump is willing to cross his donors. And he did have some, unfortunately. I wish Trump didn't take as much big money as he did this past election. He raised a lot of money. And you can understand why, a lot of big tech, they were sick of the Biden administration for understandable reasons, if you understand what they were doing to big tech. But I wish that, Zuckerberg and all these retards weren't going on the Trump train and they were all at the inauguration. It was kind of weird. And I didn't think it was a good sign. But the fact that Trump is willing to go against the wishes of, as he said, not appointing one of Elon's people who's a libtard, good on Trump. We don't need any more Democrats as a part of the Trump administration. We had that problem during Trump's first term. We don't want to repeat that. And in fact, if we got rid of the EV mandates, whatever you think about that, Trump's always been clear he doesn't support that. So the fact that he's not changing his mind because Elon gave him a bunch of money for this past election, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So actually, this is kind of a positive development to show that Trump, he's not a corrupt politician, which we frankly already knew, but this is just further confirmation of that. It is funny. I think, and I could be reading too much into this, but when Trump was talking about how people, they'll leave his administration and then they attack him and they get TDS. Maybe it was just me, but I sensed a tinge of sadness from Trump. I think Trump is it. He would never admit this publicly, obviously, but I think Trump genuinely gets a bit hurt when one of his friends or whoever was working in the administration and then they attack him. I think it's happened so much he may be a little bit numb to it now, but you could still tell, I think it bothers him. I mean, that's the dirty little secret about Trump. Trump is not this, you know, big, no feelings, macho, I want to fire everyone. Trump wants people to like him. So when people that worked for him attack him, I don't think he likes it at all. Again, I could be reading too much into it, but I sensed a little sadness from Trump. And I legitimately think Trump and Elon got along well. I mean, these very few people would have better understanding of what each other were going through, but both being so famous, so much public scrutiny, a lot of money, especially Elon, but Trump, he's done well for sure. Both billionaires. So I'm sure, and the reality is the spending bill is a good bill overall. There are problems with it, but if the spending bill doesn't get passed, everyone's taxes are going up. I mean, is that a good thing? Why? Because we're not, and the bill's bad because we're not cutting enough spending. I mean, give me a break. That's just Washington. That's how Washington works. You know, Democrats want to be able to increase spending without raising taxes, and Republicans want to be able to cut taxes without also cutting spending. That's the reality. So yeah, Republicans are not cutting spending. And it is possible it'll increase the deficit and the debt if, the revenue doesn't increase with the job creation, which is always sort of the theory behind trickle down economics, Reaganomics, that you'll actually generate more government revenue because of businesses will expand with lower tax rates, and it'll actually lead to the government taking more revenue. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's the theory. So the tax bill is fine, or spending bill is fine, reconciliation bill, whatever you want to call it. It's a solid bill. It's not perfect. There are problems. I wish, and maybe they still will, they incorporate more of the Doge cuts. But I think Elon's looking for an out, and he probably is personally mad about the EV mandate and not getting his people in. But I also think Elon's looking for an out to get back to the good graces of the liberal establishment. So anyway, it's good to see Trump not cucking to his donors. That's probably the best thing to come from this. It's good to see. But, I'm also a little sad because, again, Trump and Elon were such a cool duo. Remember when Elon did his speech at Madison Square Garden? He did like the whole like anime yell. He went, "Rah!" And he, pumped up his fist. It was so freaking cool. So now to see them separate, it's kind of sad. It's sad. But, all good things have to come to an end. And again, shout out to Trump for not cucking to his donors. We appreciate it. Anyway, that's the episode for the day. We're done for the week. I will, tomorrow or the weekend, I'll combine all the episodes for the week for one large podcast if you want to listen to that instead of the individual episodes. Again, please subscribe to the podcast. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can get your podcasts. Subscribe to the website, therightwingpopulist.com. Articles coming every day. It's amazing. Great content. A lot of good memes. We love the memes. So yeah, please support I'm an independent content creator. I really appreciate the support. Guys, have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.